Tariq Melrose here. This is why we show up day after day. Because when spin becomes strategy and silence becomes policy, the truth doesn't just fade, it gets buried. But we're not letting that happen. This is where facts fight back. This is where you get the whole story. Subscribe now, and let's keep the truth louder than the noise.
Jasmine Crockett torches GOP gaslighting, calls out Elon Musk, and exposes Fox News propaganda, all in one epic takedown. Let's break down how Congresswoman Crockett defended democracy, dismantled corruption, and spoke truth to power. Welcome to the clip.
Thank the chairman. I now recognize the ranking member of the subcommittee, Jasmine Crockett.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. And I first just want to begin with a news alert. Guess what? Joe Biden is not the president anymore. So maybe we can move on. Maybe we can move into the present, because it seems like we are living in the past. And listen, these are not the good old days, you know, like you used to sit around and your grandparents would talk to you about what used to happen. What we need to be talking about is how we are going to legislate, because I think that some of my colleagues have confused what our jobs are. And I get that we're sitting in judiciary. And so it may seem as if we are here to be litigators, but we are here to be legislators, which means that we are supposed to be writing laws, not trying to have our own trials and determine whether or not something is true or not, or whatever the case is, or who should be sued, who shouldn't be sued. All I know is that a great American hero, a good senator out of New Jersey, said something to the effect yesterday as he was shattering the record for holding the floor, a record that had been held by another racist in this country. As he shattered that, he said something about the fact that this should not be about left versus right. It should be about right versus wrong. And I am going to tell you that I want us to focus on right versus wrong. The reason that we are struggling right now in this country as it relates to people not trusting agencies, honestly, a lot of it is because of elected leaders. Let me tell you, one of the things that the chairman and I actually agree upon, we don't agree on a lot, is that we both know that there has been a sharp incline as it relates to threats upon our lives. Regardless of what side of the aisle you sit on, we both know and agree that as sitting members of Congress, we both are enduring more death threats than anybody should in this country. And I believe that it is because of the divisive rhetoric, and it is because of the selective enforcement of things. And so when we have, and I'm gonna be clear, because I had remarks and I'm going a whole other way. To have the sitting attorney general go on, and I'm gonna call it faux news. I know some of y'all love it, but it's fake to me. To have her go on Fox News and to then decide that she wanted to send a threat to me, it was wrong. Because here it is, she is the highest law enforcement agent in this country, and people are watching and they are consuming this information, and they are believing that simply because I decided that I wanted to exercise my right to free speech, which I am not abridged from doing, that she then wanted to then politicize something that should not be politicized. I don't like Elon Musk. I'm gonna say it 50,000 times. I don't like him. I don't like that he going out there and he firing people. I think that he's a crook, because somehow the rest of us can't sit around and get whatever federal contracts we want. The rest of us can't sit around and get law enforcement and get them somehow ordained as federal law enforcement to protect him. The rest of us can't get our dealerships protected by the federal government. That is somebody that is operating above the law. For whatever reason, just because he has a lot of money, more money than everybody else. And yes, I am happy to see that on my birthday, which is what I said, there were peaceful protests around this world against him, because he is a problem. And so you never should have somebody that is sitting that high and is going to sit up here and threaten a sitting member of Congress when she knew good and well, if she watched the entire thing, that I specifically told protesters to make sure you consult with lawyers, just like I've told protesters over and over and over in the history of me advising people to go out and exercise their constitutional right. The fact that there are other sitting members that have received letters of threat from this new DOJ tells me that they are about retribution and they are not about following the law. The reason that our party, or I won't even say our party, our country is torn apart is because we can't even agree on right versus wrong. This should not be left versus right. The only thing that we're asking is that we have law enforcement that will show up when there is an actual crime. If somebody calls and says, hey, I need you to investigate this cyber crime, or I need you to investigate this child pornography, or I need you to investigate this robbery, then we want somebody to show up, and we don't want them to look at us and act as if just because I'm black or because I'm woman that I am not worthy of having that case investigated, because we have an administration that is continuously railing against diversity, equity, and inclusion, or we don't need people that show up that feel like diversity should not be valued. That is why we should have somebody that may show up and looks like me. The final thing that I'll say, because you've been gracious, is this. When I first became a public defender, I had no criminal defense experience. And I walked in and I told my boss, Charlie, I said, listen, you should hire me. He said, why? I said, because I'm black. Charlie looked at me like I was crazy. And I said, let me tell you something. When I walk in, I'm going to walk in with a level of rapport and understanding that maybe some of my other colleagues will not. Charlie offered me my job, and I worked my butt off, and I worked really, really hard for all of my clients, not just those that look like me, and that is what it looks like to serve. Thank you.
What we just witnessed was not a speech. It was an exorcism of Republican gaslighting. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, fierce, unapologetic, and unwavering, lit up the Judiciary Committee chamber with the kind of raw, unfiltered honesty we rarely get in politics anymore. She didn't just challenge MAGA rhetoric, she obliterated it. Let's start with the context. Republicans in the Judiciary Committee have made it their mission to weaponize congressional hearings, not to legislate, not to serve the people, but to run a cheap, taxpayer-funded political theater. Instead of dealing with real issues, poverty, climate change, gun violence, crumbling infrastructure, these folks want to relitigate 2020. Jasmine Crockett made that clear when she opened by saying, guess what? Joe Biden is not the president anymore. Mick, drop. It's one of the sharpest indictments yet of the Republican obsession with the past. She nailed it. They don't want to govern. They want to litigate grievances from years ago, play judge and jury on Fox News, and spend millions in taxpayer dollars trying to turn Congress into a spin room for Donald Trump's ego. And she made it personal, but in the most responsible way. Crockett reminded everyone in that room, especially the fragile egos of the GOP, what Congress is actually for, legislating, not litigating. She called out the selective memory, the double standards, the hypocrisy, and she didn't flinch while doing it. One of the most striking elements of her speech was her indictment of the selective enforcement of justice in this country. And who did she call out? None other than the Attorney General, who, instead of acting like the top law enforcement official in the land, decided to hop on Fox News, what Crockett rightfully called faux news, to send threats toward elected members of Congress. Think about that. A sitting Attorney General using a propaganda arm of the right to intimidate a lawmaker for exercising her First Amendment right. Republicans used to scream about free speech. Now they want to criminalize it. If you're black, female, and speaking against their corporate darlings like Elon Musk. And Crockett wasn't afraid to say it. I don't like Elon Musk. That wasn't a soundbite. It was a challenge to the normalization of billionaires who fire workers, dodge accountability, and use federal protection as if it were their birthright. She nailed the absurdity that while everyday Americans can't get law enforcement to investigate legitimate crimes, Elon Musk gets federal contracts, armed protection, and carte blanche to exploit the system. We've seen this before. Trump's DOJ targeting protesters, governors using state power to go after teachers, and now billionaires acting like kings while Republican lawmakers shield them like royal guards. And here's where Crockett took the conversation even deeper. She made it painfully clear that our country isn't divided because Americans are inherently at odds, but because we have leaders who choose division as a political strategy. Crockett and her Republican counterpart both agree that members of Congress now receive more death threats than ever before. But only one side continues to pour gasoline on the fire, riling up supporters with talk of civil war, stolen elections, and racist dog whistles. She didn't mince words when she said, "Divisive rhetoric is killing us." Let's be real. MAGA Republicans aren't trying to fix the country. They're trying to burn it down and blame Democrats for the smoke. When Crockett shared the story of why she got hired as a public defender because she's black and could relate to clients in a way others couldn't, it wasn't a gimmick. It was a powerful reminder of why representation matters. Too often, the Republican Party weaponizes the concept of diversity to claim reverse discrimination. Crockett reminded them that diversity is not charity, it's strategy. It's how you build trust. It's how you serve communities. And in a justice system that disproportionately targets people of color, having a lawyer who understands that system from the inside out is not a luxury. It's a necessity. Republicans love to scream merit when they're upholding the status quo. But what Crockett embodied was merit plus lived experience, something that no resume can replicate and no GOP talking point can erase. Crockett's blistering critique of the GOP's war on diversity, equity, and inclusion was one of the strongest moments of the entire hearing. As the right wing continues its performative crusade against DEI initiatives, calling them un-American, what they're really saying is they're afraid of a future they can't control. And that fear is manifesting in policies that strip resources from marginalized communities, ignore hate crimes, and criminalize the identities of women, LGBTQ plus people, and people of color. But Crockett wasn't having it. She cut through the nonsense. DEI isn't about exclusion. It's about expansion. It's about making sure that justice, opportunity, and protection are not reserved for the wealthy, the white, or the well-connected. And let's talk about that Elon Musk section, because it was gold. Republicans treat Musk like some kind of tech messiah, even while he's firing workers, dismantling safety standards, and dragging once respectable platforms into the sewer. Crockett called him what he is, a crook who exploits federal power for personal gain. She pointed out the hypocrisy. No average citizen gets that kind of protection. No small business owner in your local town can ring up the DOJ and get federal agents to guard their property. But Musk, oh, he's above the law because he's rich. Crockett said it. We all know it, but only she had the guts to say it under oath. And when she celebrated peaceful protests against him on her birthday, it was more than a clapback. It was a declaration that no billionaire is above accountability. Jasmine Crockett gave us a blueprint, a roadmap, a reminder that not all Democrats are playing defense. Some are walking into the lion's den and speaking truth with fire. This was leadership, not performative, not hollow, not soundbite driven. She told the truth about Fox News. She called out a corrupt DOJ. She exposed the double standards surrounding law enforcement, and she did it all while standing tall in the face of threats, literally. What we just saw wasn't just a hearing, it was history. Jasmine Crockett stood in the belly of the beast and reminded everyone what this fight is really about, right versus wrong. So, to every young black woman watching this and wondering if there's still space for your voice in American politics, yes, there is. And Jasmine Crockett just kicked the door wide open to every Republican hiding behind billionaire donors, fake outrage, and media propaganda. Be warned, we see you, and we're not scared. If that fired you up, do me a favor. Don't just watch this video. Share it, amplify it, and hit that subscribe button to support unapologetic commentary like this. We're not here to play nice, we're here to fight back. Thanks for watching. This is where we break down the bull, expose the hypocrisy, and protect democracy. One video at a time. See you next time. Stay loud, stay proud, and stay real. Bang.